At first glance, this question sounds almost unbelievable. North Korea and the Philippines seem to exist in completely different worlds. One is a secretive, heavily sanctioned nuclear state closely associated with China. The other is a U.S. treaty ally located at the heart of Southeast Asia. So why would anyone even suggest that North Korea might support the Philippines in a confrontation with China? To understand this possibility, we need to look beyond headlines and explore the deeper realities of geopolitics, where alliances are not built on friendship, but on interests, leverage, and survival. Let's break it down. North Korea's relationship with China is complicated. Many people assume North Korea is simply China's obedient ally. In reality, their relationship is far more strained than it appears. Yes, China is North Korea's largest trading partner and provides critical economic lifelines. But China has also repeatedly supported UN sanctions against Pyongyang, pressured North Korea to halt nuclear tests, and used economic leverage to keep Kim Jong-un in check. From North Korea's perspective, China is not just a partner, it is also a constraint. North Korea's leadership is obsessed with one thing above all else: regime survival and strategic independence. Relying too heavily on China puts that independence at risk. As a result, Pyongyang constantly looks for ways to reduce Chinese influence over its decisions. Supporting, or even quietly sympathizing with, China's regional rivals can be one way to send a message. The Philippines as a pressure point against China. The Philippines occupies one of the most strategically sensitive locations in Asia, especially in the South China Sea. Any serious confrontation involving the Philippines directly affects China's maritime security, trade routes, and military planning. For North Korea, this creates an opportunity. If China becomes heavily preoccupied with tensions in Southeast Asia, especially involving the Philippines and the United States, it has fewer resources and less attention to devote to pressuring North Korea. In geopolitics, distraction can be a strategic advantage. By indirectly supporting the Philippines, North Korea wouldn't be choosing Manila over Beijing. Instead, it would be creating strategic space for itself. North Korea's history of unpredictable alignments. North Korea has never been afraid to act against expectations. Historically, Pyongyang has supported countries and movements that complicated the plans of larger powers, even those considered allies. It has sold weapons, shared military expertise, and offered political backing wherever it saw an opportunity to gain leverage or recognition. North Korea thrives in chaos and ambiguity. A more fragmented Asian security environment weakens dominant players, and China is currently one of the most dominant. In that context, any move that challenges China's regional confidence indirectly benefits North Korea. Anti-hegemony as a shared narrative. Interestingly, both North Korea and the Philippines, despite their massive differences, can frame tensions with China using a similar narrative: resistance against dominance. North Korea regularly accuses China of acting like a big brother, trying to control its decisions. The Philippines, meanwhile, challenges China's expansive claims in the South China Sea. From Pyongyang's propaganda perspective, supporting the idea of smaller states resisting larger powers fits neatly into its long-standing anti-hegemony messaging. Even symbolic or rhetorical support could be useful domestically and internationally. Weakening China's regional image. China works hard to project itself as the natural leader of Asia, a stabilizing force surrounded by friendly neighbors. Any visible crack in that image is costly. If North Korea, a country often seen as firmly within China's orbit, were to show even mild alignment with a country confronting Beijing, it would raise serious questions about China's regional influence. For North Korea, that kind of symbolic disruption is valuable. It reminds China, and the world, that Pyongyang cannot be fully controlled. Not military support, but strategic signals. It's important to be clear North Korea is extremely unlikely to provide direct military support to the Philippines in any confrontation with China. That would be unrealistic and dangerous. What's more plausible is diplomatic positioning, symbolic statements, or quiet strategic signaling. This could include public calls for respecting sovereignty, criticism of great power bullying without naming China, increased engagement with non-aligned or Southeast Asian states, timing missile tests or announcements to coincide with China's regional crisis. In geopolitics, signals often matter as much as actions. What this means for Asia. If North Korea were ever perceived as siding, however subtly, with the Philippines in a China-related confrontation, it would signal something bigger, a shift toward a more fractured, unpredictable Asian order. It would show that China's influence, while powerful, is not absolute. And it would highlight how even isolated states like North Korea can shape regional dynamics in unexpected ways. So, why would North Korea support the Philippines in a confrontation with China? Not out of friendship, not out of shared values, and certainly not out of ideology. It would be about leverage, distraction, strategic independence, and sending a message. In geopolitics, today's rival can be tomorrow's useful counterweight. And for North Korea, any opportunity to loosen China's grip, even indirectly, is worth considering. Because in Asia's complex power game, nothing is ever as simple as it seems.